Hey, welcome everybody. Glad that you all could make it. Glad that you all could join us. Tonight's going to be a pretty special night. Tonight we are actually going to do a book review, and we're going to be doing a book review on Brother Donte Fortson's book, which is called Undeniable. Undeniable, and I will be sure and post that up for you all. I actually um, took pictures of the pages so that you could actually read along with some of the information that we're going to be going through. So this is going to be really great. I hope you stick around. I hope you gather family around. I hope you share this video. For those of you who are on Let's Talk About Us, the Facebook page, this is actually live at this time. For those of you who are going to be viewing this on YouTube, this will actually be shared to YouTube directly after the show is over. So I really hope that you guys are able to get something out of this, and I really just um, pray that you all are able to enjoy this show. Hey, before we actually get started on the book review, let me scoot this over just a little bit to me. Before we actually get started on the book review, I want to tell you all about a set apart summer youth gathering that is going to be held here in Madisonville, Kentucky. All right. So it's going to be between the ages of 18 to 25. Ages of 18 to 25. And we're going to celebrate the summer weekend. There are going to be guest speakers who are going to be there. Brother Joseph Joshua is going to be there. Elder Eric Spearman is going to be there. And I myself will be there. And our wives, Sister Adia will be there. Sister Yahara, Brother Eric's wife. Sister Adia's Brother Yosef's wife. And my wife, Mariah. Many of you know her by Yvonne. So she's going to be there as well. So we're going to have a great time. It's going to be August the 27th through the 29th. So for those of you, who have been in the faith and you have not yet met your spouse, this could be the time. Don't know. But it is a place where young singles are going to be able to be there. We will have elders present during that time, and we will be there enjoying and spending all of our time with the singles who are there. So it'll be a fun event. Again, there will be chaperones at all time. The elders and our wives will be there, and other parents who are going to be coming with their children, or not children, with their offspring, their seed. They're going to be coming as well. So look forward to seeing you all. Just contact the information that's on there. RSVP at yazhouse7@gmail.com. And as you can see that there is a reservation cost, $25. And for the chaperones who will be there, it will be $10. And I know many people who may see this in the world will be saying, why does somebody 18 to 25 need a chaperone? Uh, well, we are in the if you're in the truth of the Most High, and we're going to make sure that our children are safe. Number one, our offspring, they are safe, and also we want to make sure and that we are watching over them as well. Many of our offspring, many of our children, they're set apart people, and we as parents are just very grateful that we are going to be able to be there with them and praise the Most High if the Most High makes a set apart connection. So again, thank you all. And the 18th, ages 18 to 25, and again, this will be August the 27th through the 29th. We're going to have a great time. Lots of food, lots of fellowship. We're going to spend the Sabbath just really having a good time. So I pray that you all are able to do that. I pray that you spread this out and let people know what is going to be taking place. So look forward to seeing you all. All right. So next, we're going to be looking at the book called Undeniable. And It's a full color, as it says, full color evidence of black Israelites in the Bible. And this is by Brother Donte Fortson. Now, I have never met Donte Fortson, but I followed Donte Fortson years ago. He used to roll with Marzulli, lots of people. And I used to listen to his podcasts, and he was really, really big on the Christian scene with a lot of powerful people in the Christian realm. Well, he actually did some research, and Brother Donte, if you see this video, it's because I heard you say this. He was actually doing some studying against us being Israelites, us being the people of the book, we, the descendants of the slaves, being the people of the book. So he was actually doing research against that. And after his research, it was undeniable to him that we, in fact, are the children of Israel. So, and he grew and grew. And like I said, I didn't hear from him for a while. Well, I didn't know that he had actually come into the truth of who we are as a people and who our Father is, the mighty one of Israel. He came into the truth of who Yahusha was, not the Messiah that they show us on the pictures, not the Messiah that we would, when we walked up into some of the places that we congregated in religious institution. Not that one, not that Messiah, the one who had blonde hair and had blue eyes, and nothing against Europeans, but we Savior. So I just want us to be able to go through this because we're not really given true information about his. Not really given good historical information. So tonight we're going to go into some of this historical information that has been given, and we're going to read through this. And I pray that this really impacts you. I pray that you share this with your friends and your family as we do a book review with Brother Donte Fortson. So the pages that I'm going to be going over, I'm not going to go over all of them. As you can see, I have a real copy right here, and what you're seeing is a photo shoot of that. So we're going to go through that, and each page that I show up on the screen, we're actually going to read from that information. All right. So we won't get through the whole book because my intent is not to go through the whole book, but my intent is actually to get enough information in your hands that you'll actually go out and buy the book and have it as your historical information, a lot of photographs and everything. So I want to commend Brother Donte. He did a really good job on this book, putting his information together, getting the reliefs, the photos, the Coptic photos that are in here, the Egyptian museum photos that we're going to be using, because these things are not placed in our history book. And so for us to really find out who we are, because most of us, we never really know who we are except for descendants of slaves. Now we have information that teaches us and that will show us historically, without a doubt, undeniably, who we are. All right. So let's go ahead and get started in his book, Undeniable. So we're going to be popping through some screens here, and we're going to be, as you can see, I don't have my border up that I usually have. That's because I want to make sure that we give all of this information. We just want to make sure that we're able to read through all of it. So here we go. So on the back of his book, it says, "Then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth." I'm going to read from the back here. "And cast ashes upon their heads and rent their clothes and laid upon the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images." That is First Maccabees 3, chapter 3, verse 47 through 48. All right, so we see that in this book of Maccabees, and which actually really was in the text originally, and they actually took the book of Maccabees out, they called the apocryphal books. If you look at a Catholic Bible, it still has the apocryphal books in it, but I guess man chose to decide what canon was and what it wasn't. So that's what we have today. But let me read that last part again, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. And so we're going to see in this book where the heathens did actually change what it looked like. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start. Let's start reading, and we're going to read the dedication. Now we'll go ahead and go to the undeniable. The claim that there is no evidence of Black Israel are always made by people that haven't bothered to look for any of the evidence. They will often repeat what they've been told to believe, but the truth is that there is a lot of evidence, both biblically and historically, that back up why many of us believe Israel was and still is Black. The reason people are confused about the true identity of Israel is because of the Renaissance period, during which they painted and repainted everyone white, while also hiding away or destroying other images of Black apostles, prophets, and even Christ. The evidence presented in this book comes from real historical sources and can be verified by using Google, a map, and a Bible. All evidence appearing in this book is organized by date. One of the most interesting mysteries in the Bible surrounds the sons of Noah and the origin of each nation on the planet. According to the most mainstream Christian researchers, the sons of Noah divided into the nations as follows: Ham, Black Africans, Black Arabs; Shem, Olive Hebrews plus Olive Arabs; Japheth, Europeans and Asians. However, discoveries of the Bible sites such as Shushan Palace in Susa are starting to paint an entirely different picture than the one presented to the general public by the church and media. According to the Bible, Elam was one of the sons of Shem. So in Genesis 10, in verse 22, as we see at the bottom of the page, the children of Shem is Elam and Ashur and Arphaxad and Lud and Aram. So we can see just by listening to this that things have been changed, things have been altered, and we want to make sure that we are going off of the true history and the truth of history, not just something that someone tells us comes from history because we learned it in school, but we want to know according to real history what the real history is, not his story, but the real history. Okay, even some of I could even put up all these. Look at some of these photos of the original Israelites in the Bible. See what color they are? I'm not saying that color is what divides us. This is what they used to divide us. Okay, we never had a problem with color until color was made a big deal of during slavery, during the slave trade. Okay, so you're going to get a lot of good information from this book if you purchase his book. And like I said, I have no agreement with him. I have not talked to him, but I wanted to do the review of this book because it's some very important information in here. And if you can just relax your mind and move away the clutter that we've been taught and go back and research this information from yourself, You will learn a lot, and it will also change your life to realize that you are the people of the book. Okay. So this is 1549 to 1292 BC, the 18th Egyptian dynasty. One of the biggest false claims in our present time is that Egyptians were white. Even though all evidence points to the contrary, we see with our eyes that Egyptians were not Caucasian, did not paint themselves as Caucasians, nor were they ever described as anything other than black people. Caucasians did not come from the line of Ham. Caucasians would not paint themselves as black people. Caucasians would never name their country Kemet, which means land of the black. Land of the black. All right, so we have here a piece of information. If you would look at that artifact at the top of the page, you will see that there is an Israelite up there. Look at his hair. Look at his beard. Okay, what does it look like he has growing from his head? Do those not look like locks that he has? Look at that beard. Does not that not look like a nappy, woolly beard? See, this is what I'm talking about. We have to get the information. We have to quit letting people get. All right. All right. So we're going to go to another. And so you're not going to see me in this, and that's okay, because I'm not what's important. What's important is what's on this page. Okay. So look at this. A very common claim among non-believers is that there is no evidence of Israel ever having been in Africa, and certainly not in Egypt as slaves. Okay, now look at those pictures up there. The tomb of Rekhmire, 18th dynasty. Look at the color of the skin on those walls. I don't know if any of you all ever saw, I don't know if it was Saturday Night Live when Richard Pryor was on there and they walked into the Egyptian tomb and he was with some Europeans and they were exploring the hieroglyphs, and he looked up and he was just amazed that they were all hieroglyphs with people with brown and black skin. And what did they do? They locked him inside so that information couldn't get out. I thought that was very funny when I went back and finally went back and watched that. So let's look at the other page. And this is going to be page 11 in the book. You can't see it. But this is the Europeanized photo. It says the previous picture represents Israelites making bricks, while Egyptian overseers make sure they get their work done. Perhaps the most interesting confirmation that the above picture represents Israelite slaves is a modern fake created by Europeans that had knowledge of the original. There are quite a few similarities in the pictures that let us know that the recreation is an intentional deception that was commissioned and then placed in some Bibles to deceive believers. The following similarities appear in both the original and the European remake. The way the bricks are laid out on the ground, the man digging into the ground with his A-shaped tool, the man carrying a single large rock or stone on his shoulder. Look at this photo compared to the hieroglyphs. The man pouring water out of the pot. The device used to carry multiple cut blocks and stones. All right. So you look at the difference between the two that they have done. You will see that it's a fabrication. The only thing that really is changed is the color of the skin on the people. So they basically, what we would call, they basically whited it out. That's exactly what took place. All right. So like I said, this is real history. This is real information by Brother Donte. I do not own the rights to this book that I'm showing you. It is authored and published, but it is authored by Donte Fortson. Donte Fortson. He is the one who wrote this book. I'm only going back and reading it for those who have never seen it. I'm reading it and showing the information for those to be able to gather information and also to purchase the book and have this historical information for yourselves. So again, I'm passing over some photos now. These are some pretty good photos that I'm getting ready to pass over. Let me make sure that I didn't skip one. Okay. All right. So now that you see on the screen, let's look at this. Let's look at what he says. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moses stood up and he helped them, and he watered their flocks. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, "How is it that ye are come so soon today?" And they said, "An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us, and watered the flock." You'll find that in Exodus chapter 2, verse 16 through 19. Okay, in addition to confirming Moses' dark appearance, the painting also confirms that the early belief that God is black. We see his arm coming down from the sky just over Moses. The description is also reflected in the Bible in the book of Revelation. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardis stone, and there was a rainbow round about the throne in sight like unto an emerald. Revelations chapter 4, verse 3. Look at the jasper stone. Look at the color of that. Look at the jasper stone on the other page up top. Look at the sardis, the sardine stone. By looking at the color of the stone, we know that both John and the painter were intentionally describing a brown-skinned creator. Look, the Most High uses material. I mean, we can't make this stuff up. And those who don't want to believe it are people who just hate the truth. But the Most High does show us through his material objects on this earth. Look at that sardis stone. Those of you who live here in America, can you compare your skin to that sardis stone? How about that jasper stone? Can you compare your skin to that jasper stone? All right, let's move to the next. Just take a look at it. Look at that. Let's look at the picture. From the Bristol Psalter, believed to be a Byzantine Psalter written in the 11th century in ancient Greek. The Psalter has 14 odes and the apocryphal Psalm 151. The exact provenance is unknown. Described as an unnoticed Byzantine Psalter in a 1921 magazine article. This image is King David with his musicians. Any of you ever seen that relief before? Any of you ever seen a painting like that? From the 11th century. How come that's not in your history books? How come that's not in the King James Bible? You know, the Bibles that have pictures. Where is that? And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy and with all of a beautiful countenance and goodly to look to. And the Lord said, "Arise, anoint him, for this is he." 1 Samuel 16 and 12. Okay, now let's look at the other page. Raw, unpolished rubies. and look at the red or the ruddy heifer. You see any people here? I'm not just talking about Americans. I'm just only going to speak specifically about Americans because we're here. And all over the world, we have people who look like this. Look at that ruddy heifer. That ruddy, we would consider that to be a brown. They may call it red, but I can look at my skin and my skin is almost that color. Isn't that amazing, the information that they hide from us so that we don't know? Like I said, I'm skipping pages. I'm skipping pages because it's too much information, and I want you all to be able to see this stuff for yourself. All right, the image above, we see Moses and the drowning of the Egyptians. They are all depicted as black people, which also confirms the scripture in which Moses was mistaken for an Egyptian. This is Dura Europus synagogue painting. So this painting is actually hanging up in a synagogue. Moses and the Hebrews crossing the Red Sea, pursued by Pharaoh, 303 BC to 256 AD. This is in a synagogue. How come we don't have these photos up in our churches? But instead, we have one that has blue eyes, blonde hair, and white skin. But if you look at a man that looks like he has nappy hair and he has dark skin, this is a painting, a relief. Why don't we see these in our churches? Okay, let's look at the next one. As you see, I'm skipping pages because there's a lot more to go with this. All right, so what we're looking at now is Christ washing the feet of the disciples. Christ washing the feet of the disciples. This is an icon of Scav school, 16th century. So this is another photo depiction in another country. They have photos of what the true Israelites look like. Why don't we have these photos? Why don't we have these photos posted in our churches? Why don't we have these photos posted in the Bible? Is it because these Bibles aren't published and manufactured by us? Just a question. These are questions that we have to ask. And this isn't racial. This ain't about race. This is about the truth. Okay, so let's look at what some Europeans had to say. This is 55 AD, 17 to 117 AD. Tacitus was a Roman historian that lived during the lifetime of the Apostle Paul. While he did not create any images of Israelites, his testimony that Israelites look like Egyptians and Ethiopians. When you look at Ethiopians today, do they look European? No. Egyptians and Ethiopian serves to confirm why Paul was mistaken for an Egyptian in Acts chapter 21 and verse 38. It also adds clarity to the Most High comparing Israelites to Ethiopians. In Amos chapter 9 verse 6, are you not like the Ethiopians to me? A few authorities hold that in the reign of Isis, the surplus population of the Egyptians was evacuated to neighboring land under the leadership of Hieronymus and Judas. Many assure us that the Jews are descended from those Ethiopians who were driven out by fear and hatred to immigrate from their home country when Cephas was king. There are some who say that a motley collection of landless Assyrians occupied a part of Egypt and then built cities of their own, inhabiting the lands of the Hebrews and the nearer parts of Syria. That was from Tacitus Histories. So we got a European giving us information about our people. Very good information. Okay, now let's take a look at the Israelites flee into Africa. For many of us, we have a hard time believing that the Israelites fled into Africa. But if you look at where Israel is located, Egypt is south. Egypt, the continent of Africa. Actually, Israel is actually located in Africa. But Israel is on the continent of Africa. They call it the Middle East now, but it's on the continent of Africa. So let's look. Because Tacitus is cited as a credible, his words are important to understanding the belief in Black Israelites is not new, nor is it exclusively associated with Black Hebrew Israelite camps. All right. So you're probably hearing something. That's our indoor grow system for our plants. Apologize for the water, but hopefully it doesn't distract you. 70 AD, Israelites flee into Africa. The Black Jews who migrated to the Sudan from the north, covered with the Jews migrated from the eastern Sudan to the countries of the Niger River. There is much proof and still much more to be revealed by scholars that there exists prior to the slave trade and subsequent to it many tribes, colonies, and kingdoms in West Africa. That was by Rudolph R. Windsor, Babylon to Timbuktu. I've got that book. I've read that book. It's awesome information. You will not find that in a European history book. You will not find that book in a public school system. You will not find that book in modern day churches. You won't find that book. So anyway, look at that continent of Africa down there. Look at the Sahara. Look at the places where the Hebrews traveled. North Africa and the Israelite migration. Look at that. They're all heading over towards the west coast of Africa. True Israelites, we're going to go to the top up there. True Israelites were scattered in all directions. The slaves that were brought to America are descendants of the Israelites that were dispersed into Africa many, many years ago, about 2,500 years ago. So you have Cyrene. Israelites attempted to establish a Hebrew African empire. Roman suppression forced further Israelite migrations into Africa. Elephantine, 600 BC, Israelites established a garrison. In 70 CE, Romans conquered and enslaved over 100,000 Israelites. Timinented. So I may be pronouncing some of these words wrong. In 1492 CE, Common Era, Ottoman Muslims destroy a 1,000-year-old Hebrew settlement. Ethiopia, 955 BCE. Menelik, son of Solomon and the queen of Sheba, establishes an Israelite dynasty that lasted almost 3,000 years. Uganda, line of 33 kings, tracing their lineage to King David. Man, this is awesome. Awesome information. Libya, 640 CE, Israelite queen Dia Kahina organizes an army to defend against Roman and Arab incursions into North Africa. Let's go to the next one. Kazembe. In 1831, Shemitic Africans whose king wears a mitre head wrap resembling that of the Israelite high priest. Look, the information is there, y'all. Go look at that information. Awesome. Awesome information. Awesome information. And for sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze through a couple of more of these. I've got about 4 pages left, so just bear with me. But I think you know that this is awesome, awesome information. Okay, look at that photo. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that such beautiful history? The question is, have you ever seen that before? Think about it. Do you see that hanging? For those of my brothers and sisters who are learning and who are in the Christian institutions of today, do you see that photo hanging anywhere in the churches today of the prophet Daniel? No, you don't. Look at that. 1300s AD, Daniel the prophet. The relief, it says Daniel the prophet in the 14th century, Byzantine Museum in Athens. Come on. We know Israelites were in Athens as well. Look at that photo. I just want to keep looking at it. Keep looking at it. Keep looking at it because it's the truth. It's not the lies that we've been given. It is the truth. All you have to do is go back and look at the history that has been whitewashed. And when you find this old information that is coming about, it really will just blow your mind away. All right. So let's look at this page. Remember, I'm skipping pages. Skipping them. You'll see a couple of maps there. You see where the African slave trade, where all those Israelites who were living in that area, most of those were so-called Jewish settlements or Israelite settlements from the children of Israel were dwelling in that area. Okay, the chapter concerning a mountain inhabited by Jews. And we know that they're talking about the Yehudi. When they say Jew, they're talking about the Yehudi people. At the end of the 8 days, we found a mountain which appeared to be 10 or 12 miles in circumference, in which mountain there dwell 4,000 or 5,000 Jews who go naked and are in height 5 or 6 spans and have a feminine voice and are more black than any other color. They live entirely upon the flesh of sheep and eat nothing else. They are circumcised and confess that they are Jews. And if they can get a Moor or a Moor into their hands, they skin him alive. At the foot of the said mountain, we found a tank of water, which is water that falls in the rainy season. We loaded with the said water 16,000 camels, where the Jews were ill pleased, and they went about that mountain like wild goats, and no account would they descend into the plain, because they are mortal enemies of the Moors. All right. So we have real information that is written by Europeans. I think that's so awesome. I'm not going to try to read that, but this was published in Rome in 1510. So they're doing historical information. Pardon my Kentucky accent. All right, now we got some more to look at. Check this out. 1710 to 1766 AD, Judah in Africa. Who? Judah. Yehuda. All right. In the early to mid 1700s AD, European cartographers, which is map makers, began noticing that the kingdom of Judah was located on the western coast of Africa, which is where the main focus of the transatlantic slave trade was. The following maps show that Judah was located on the west coast of Africa, marked as the slave coast. As many European maps, for full maps, please visit blackhistoryinthebible.com and click on the maps tab, Judah, Euda, Wauda, Wida, and other variations of the name of Judah appear on maps based upon the language the map is written in. All right, so here you have a composite atlas, Amsterdam, Covens, and Mortier of 1720. You have another map, 1737, the map of Judah on the west coast of Africa, 1737. All right, look at the 1743 at the top of the page, the Hannon Hires map of Judah in West Africa. Y'all, we were there. Our forefathers, our ancestors were there in Africa. They were there in what was called Judah. Look at the second map in the middle, 1766, gift to the Duke of Orleans. These are maps that were written that talked about the Hebrew people being there. Just above the west coast of Africa and just below Negridia, or which is called Negro land, on the map above, there is a note written which reads, according to Edgersheath, the land hereabout was populated by Jews. Once again, information that there were Jews, not the Jews that you see today. There were Israelites, Hebrews, majority living on the west coast of Africa, where the Hebrew people were taken into slavery and taken to the South Americas, to the islands, to the North America. These are where these slaves came from. Get those maps. That's historical information. We can't get away from that. Okay, so our last thing that we're going to look at right now. Our last thing that we're going to look at. Okay. From 1710 to 1766 AD, Judah in Africa. Where do we know where Judah is from? Because the Messiah comes from the tribe of Yehuda, or Judah. And we know that Judah is one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, in the early to mid 1700s AD, European cartographers, once again map makers, began noting that the kingdom of Judah was located on the western coast of Africa. And let me get over to the page where you all are right now. This is some pretty impactful information, y'all. 1969, memorandum to the president. In 1969, Henry Kissinger sent a memorandum to the president in which he refers to the Igbo as the wandering Jews of West Africa. Historically, we know that many of the people taken in the transatlantic slave trade were of Igbo descent. Let's look at the gray box. Biafra, 3,000 square miles, 4 to 6 million. Colonial Ijukwa, 35 British train, erstwhile Playboy, presides over the popular support and military morale of a people convinced that the defeat means extinction. The Igbos or Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa, gifted, aggressive, westernized, and best envied or envied and resented, but mostly despised by the mass of their neighbors in the Federation. They have fought well by African standards against heavy odds. Their cynical public relations use of the starvation has been brilliant. Henry Kissinger, Tuesday, January 28th, 1969, memorandum of the president. Isn't that something? Just wicked folk. I'm sorry. The full text of the memorandum can be found at the U.S. Senate Department's website online. Okay, Zondervan Negroes aren't from Ham. This is in Zondervan. Negroes aren't from Ham. If they're not from Ham, I wonder where they're from. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes. What do they call us here? What was our forefathers called here? Negroes. Negroes. But the Egyptians and Ethiopians and Libyans and Canaanites, this is from Genesis 10, 6 through 20. His indecency when his father lay drunken brought a curse upon Canaan. All right. So just think about this. We have all this information that we just read. All this information that we just read. What does it prove? It is proving that the so-called African Americans, the black people here in the United States, children of Israel. The children of Israel, the whole west coast of Africa where we were plucked from, was Israelite colonies. And so people get upset today when we call ourselves Israelites or we call ourselves Hebrews. They think that it's crazy or, cultish or something like that. No, we're looking at our history. We're looking at the history that was kept from us. Okay, last page. This is going to be the last page that we do for the night. Okay, 1985, Cambridge University Press. Blacks and Jews, the same claim. The premises of the movements. It says, in the first month of 1879, there was a massive migration of some 5,000 blacks to the northern territories of the United States, mainly Kansas and Oklahoma. This exodus was of despairing blacks seeking a refuge, a place where the political rights would mean something, where they would be free from economic exploitation and above all from the dangerous activities of the Ku Klux Klan. One of the members of this exodus was Benjamin Pap Singleton, an elderly and colorful man who led a group of 300 blacks to Cherokee County in Kansas. There they founded a colony, Singleton's Colony, Singleton calling himself the Moses of the exodus of colored people. From 1900 onwards, North and South Carolina were overrun by black preachers who were propagating a doctrine according to which the lost tribes of the house of Israel was none other than the Negroes. See, who tells us this information? Who gives us this information? Do we hear about this in our history books? Of course not. Although this might at first sight seem an odd claim, it can be seen as reflecting the beliefs that some black slaves had held during their captivity when they were integrated on their origins, their destiny. A historical example supports this hypothesis. A slave uprising took place in Richmond, Virginia at the beginning of the 19th century, which was led by a slave called Gabriel Prosser, an outstanding personality who had acquired some knowledge of the Bible. He frequently referred to it in order to convince his brothers that they were the descendants of the Israelites and that God would free them from slavery as he had their ancestors. He identified himself with Samson, his favorite biblical character. Like Samson, he wore his hair long as a sign given by God of the alliance made with his people. So here we go. We have information here that the children of Israel, not just to the Americas, but I'm going to focus on the Americas right now. The children of Israel came to the Americas. The children of Israel are here living in the Americas, and they are the ones who are called the Negroes. Negroes are not descendants of Ham. Negroes are descendants of Shem. Okay, so this is the first part of this book review that we're doing, and we're going to probably come back. I may come back next week and do a couple of other sections of this book. But this book is absolutely great. Great work, Brother Donte. Great work. You can go on to Amazon and get these books. He's done some really good research in this book. If you are wondering who you are as a people, look at this book. This book will identify who we are as the children of Israel, and that the children of Israel came to the Americas, and the islands, Jamaica, St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands, Cuba, South America, Central America, Panama, Costa Rica, the United States. We're all over the place. We're even in Europe. We're everywhere because we were taken because we disobeyed. And I'm grateful that Brother Donte Fortson, I don't want to cover up his name right here. Brother Donte Fortson has created a book of information that you can go back and research for yourself. I'm sorry that this took so long, but hey, when you got good live biblical information like this, you have to take your time. Okay. For those of you who are on YouTube, please share this. Please tell people about the page. We're going to be doing book reviews like this coming up. It's awesome, the information that is in there for us. I will be taking pictures of the pages in the book and showing them as I read along, but I won't do the whole book. Why won't I do the whole book? Because I want you to go support this brother. He does not pay me. I do not know him personally. I just know him from a long time ago when I used to listen to him. So please go out and support this brother. Get this book and put it on your shelf. All right. Get this book and put it on your shelf. I'm telling you, we need books like these to teach us, to show us our information. All right. So, hey, it's been really great. I have definitely enjoyed myself doing this book review. Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk About Us. And until the next time, I say peace.